You can see there for Jonathan Ray, again, using as much of that brake as he can on the entry into the S's. We see it where that Kawasaki always endos with Jonathan Ray. A lot of weight put on that front just to generate that brake force. He's got so much confidence when the bike's moving around underneath him. And that's why it was really interesting in Misano that he had a big problem at the start of the weekend, really struggled with he actually had a technical issue, didn't have a rear brake in one of the free practice sessions, and he just said, I had to go out and just try and do some laps with it. And it was only then that he realized just how reliant he is on that rear brake now to really control the pitch of the bike and give him that extra confidence. But it was interesting that for Jonathan Ray, he's a rider that in the past never used his rear brake, but it shows now just how much the riding styles having to evolve for these riders, how much more competitive is at the front of the field. You need everything available to you to be able to go out there and set fast lap times, and that's why we see riders really trying lots of different things now.
Yes, and Ray's certainly never afraid of learning some new tricks. That's how he's been able to stay on top of his game.
Yeah, and that's how you've got to approach it now in WorldSBK. You've got to be able to really take the approach that you're up against a lot of good riders and good bikes, and it's not like it was 3-4 years ago where you might only have had 1 or 2 competitive bikes at the front of the field. Now you've genuinely got 3 competitive manufacturers. BMW and Honda can be there or thereabouts if it all works for them over the course of any race weekend. And that's what you want to see in the championship. You want to see as many fast riders and fast bikes at the front as possible.
Working well for Tom Sykes on his latest lap. He's looking good to move up inside the top 10 for this session at least. First half of the lap, very, very strong, just a tenth of a second down. He's lost a few tenths in Sector 3. He's tended to lose time in Sector 4 as well. But Tom Sykes, first half of the lap in particular, if he could find some pace in Sectors 3 and 4, he really would be a threat for the remainder of the weekend. In the meanwhile, he goes up to 9th in this session. He is still 7/10 of a second short of what he was able to do this morning.
Yeah, and for Sykes, he is closing in on Michael van der Mark, though, within a tenth of a second of van der Mark, his teammate now in this session.
Just under 4 minutes on the clock, and as always, we see that third stint for several riders just looking to set a fast time at the death. Razgat Lioglu, the man to beat at the moment.
Yeah, and for Toprak, he's second fastest on the combined times, 28.1 for him, so a tenth of a second faster in this morning session. We've seen quite a few riders find time in the afternoon session, including the likes of Michael van der Mark, we can see there in the number 60 machine. But for Toprak, hasn't found that time just yet.
Yes, well, if Tom Sykes is closing down Michael van der Mark, I suppose van der Mark's going to have to put down a marker, isn't he? He's into the final sector here, looking good to well and truly move up the order. Lots of riders, though, improving on their latest laps, including Jonathan Ray, including Garrett Gerloff, Alex Lowes as well, with an extremely strong first sector from Lowes. So 3 minutes on the clock, but expect a lot of changes in positions from here on in. Van der Mark sets a new personal best for this session, and overall today, 1 minute 28.610, so an improvement for him. Haslam is also up on his latest lap. It's Gerloff who's looking best of the lead group of 5 riders. Razgat Lioglu still completing his installation lap. Gerloff's going to set the lay down the gauntlet here. It's a 128.046. Jonathan Ray then with a 127.991. So the time's really tumbling in the closing stages of FP2.
Yeah, and for Gerloff, he found half a second compared to his fastest time up to that point. Jonathan Ray, though, down into the 27th in this session, still not faster than he'd gone in free practice 1. Gerloff, though, on a fast lap in Sector 1 now, up by 0.2 of a second as well.
So yes, up again from Garrett Gerloff through Sector 1. Alex Lowes' lap going away from him in the second half. So 128.289, that's more or less what he'd been able to manage earlier on in this session already for his fastest time of the day so far. Leon Haslam outside of the top 10 in free practice 2. He's 10th position on the combined times, in line to move into the top 5 with this latest lap. If he does a good job of the final sector, not quite good enough for top 5. It's 6th position, 128.395. But look how closely packed our lead 10 or so riders are. It does just demonstrate once again what a level of this circuit is.
Yeah, top 5 separated by 0.3 of a second. That's going to close up a little bit more as well. Let's see if Scott Redding can get into that top 3 for Redding there. So it is really starting to close up. A lot of red sectors coming in as well. If you look at that timing tower on the left hand side of the screen, red means you're on course to move up to the top of the timesheets like Garrett Gerloff is right now.
This is a very, very strong looking lap from Garrett Gerloff. He's as tight to the inside white line around the final turn as I've seen seen from anyone so far today. He crosses the line sweetly, almost half a second clear in free practice to Garrett Gerloff. 127.524. Gerloff tops the timesheets. That's good enough for the lead on the combined times as well, and by 0.3 of a second over Jonathan Ray. 1 minute to go on the clock. Razgatlioglu was one of the last of the lead runners to make his way out onto the circuit, and he's not improving this time around. He'll have one final shot. He's making his way through the final sector on what will be his penultimate lap.
Yeah, and you can see there, Alex Lowe's just improved his time. He's moved up to third fastest now as well. Just saw there was a lack of adhesion flag out there in the background as well. So we'll keep an eye out and see if that's being caused by someone running off the track, maybe putting some gravel on or anything like that. But certainly for the fast times, they're all starting to come in now. Scott Redding's on course for a good lap at the halfway point. It's just gone away from him now slightly.
Yes, so Redding losing out in Sector 3. His teammate Rinaldi doesn't look set to improve, but good to see once again the two Ducatis very evenly matched.
Yeah, and for Redding, important to make that step forward here at the end of the session. Just trying to give himself a good exit now from Goddard's for his final lap. Looks like that lack of adhesion flag could be up at the foggy S's there, so maybe someone's just ran through the S's a little bit and kicked up a little bit of gravel.
Checkered flag about to fall, so the riders who've already started their latest lap will get one more timed in. Toprak Razgatlioglu might be relying on that if he wants to go back to the top. He's up on what he's been able to do through the first two sectors. Luca Mayas on a really good run at the moment. Look at him following behind Jonathan Ray, a familiar trend in 2021. Well, if you're going to learn from anyone, you might as well learn from the best. The number 44 then makes his way to the line and improves to 8th position in this session. That's good enough for 9th overall. Ray also setting a new personal best for this session with his final lap, 127.853. See what Alex Lowe's and Toprak Razgatlioglu have got. They make their way towards the checkered flag now through the final sector. Lowe's across the line is going to remain third fastest. He's not quite able to improve in the final sector. And Razgatlioglu goes third, 128 flat for him, half a second down on Gerloff. So the day belongs to Garrett Gerloff at the top of the timesheet, unless Scott Redding can pull off something special here through the final sector. Doesn't look like it. It's gone away from him a little in sector 3.
Yeah, needs to find a lot of time in that final sector. So Garrett Gerloff right now looks very impressive. Jonathan Ray, one of the few riders that hasn't improved his fastest time in this session. The others being Tom Sykes and Jonas Folger. Sykes, of course, with that early crash, so you can probably discount him a little bit for that. But certainly for Jonathan Ray, it shows just how competitive his times were this morning and also this afternoon to be quite competitive as well. Another
new personal best from Scott Redding on his final lap, and that's good enough for 5th fastest in this session and the overalls. In fact, the top 5 as they are in this session, also the top 5 in that order in the combined times here today. So Garrett Gerloff fastest on Friday here in Donington Park.